Hi, my name is Ryan, and today I will be going through a policy brief discussing the following policy question. How effective are university policies in combating challenges presented by Gen AI to higher education assessments? This is the journal article which the analysis was adopted from. The author here discovered that students were not submitting original work for assessment due to submitting Gen AI produced work. This is due to Gen AI demonstrating excellent proficiency in passing several professional exams and delivering quality writing. As a result, due to a lack of reliable AI detection tools, there is a danger that students will circumvent their learning process by submitting AI-generated work for their own assessments. Here, you may notice that I have put the word original in open and closed inverted commas. This is because the policies appear to imply that by original, this refers to pupils' work done independently without assistance of AI or others. However, as Gen AI advances and permeates our daily lives, we have reached a point where technology is integrated with human thinking, writing, and doing. In such cases, Eason went on to say that the concept of original work is being molded and needs to be reconsidered, comparable to how students use the internet for their work and assessments. So before we continue talking about the findings of the study and what it can be implied from, it, let us first briefly mention the research methodology and its limitations. The author has chosen Bucky's WPR framework as a means to analyze the Gen AI policies of the 20 world-leading universities based on 2024 QS World University Rankings. The author searched the official websites of these universities using certain keywords for their policies on the use of Gen AI in assessments. These searches are then screened and stored into the database before being analyzed. The authors indicated that only 19 out of 20 targeted universities published publicly available policies regulating the use of Gen AI in assessments. So why is that so? And that's because the screening was actually done in English, as you can see here. And Peking University is unlikely to have been included in the dataset. This screening process is not inclusive as it would exclude many universities from non-English speaking countries in the dataset. According to this list here, colleges from the United States account for 50% of the sample. This is despite the fact that both India and Indonesia have more universities than the United States. Yet, universities from both countries have not been included in the study. As a result, the data studied will be from a more Western perspective and application. However, the biggest issue here is choosing the sample from the top 20 ranked universities, which will represent a certain bias or skewed sample towards very commercialized or high research output universities. These educational institutions are more well-funded and have better information and data for decision making. Lastly, a lot of what the author has mentioned in the analysis might be influenced by her positionality and hence more qualitative and lacking in empirical evidence. Now, let's move on to the findings as well as its implications. One point to take note is the distinction drawn between AI-assisted work and original work in university policies. It can inadvertently reinforce the traditional hierarchy that places greater value on solely self-generated work. The potential drawback of this is that students may become hesitant to use Gen AI even for legitimate learning purposes. Students who choose to use Gen AI in assessment could be stigmatized and perceived as less independent and capable, which is certainly not the case. And some other implications are the lack of clear expectations and rules from course teachers about students' usage of Gen AI in assessments, and the lack of approaches that emphasizes and emphasize competencies beyond just content knowledge, such as critical thinking, creativity, and responsible use of AI tools. With that being said, how can policymakers then respond given the interpretations? We can see that the main issue here is these institutions' perception of what is problematic about Gen AI, right? And too often, representations of students and technology formulate a conception of education that is focused on catching learners rather than engaging them. As a result of current technological advancements, students may feel distrusted rather than empowered. In the digital age, teachers are perceived less as educators and more as gatekeepers to prevent plagiarism. Universities should acknowledge the potential applications of this technology and attempt to redefine what original work is in this modern era. Schools can consider having a separate applied Gen AI learning outcome and marking criteria. Also, schools could pivot towards policies encouraging transparency by requiring students to document and explain their use of Gen AI tools. An example would be to require students to produce a work using Gen AI, produce another piece of work without Gen AI, comparing the differences and explaining the results derived through both processes. Well, with that, I hope you've learned something new, and that's all for my presentation.